program in just a few moments, but first, some notes about today's program. Feel free to invite your friends to join in this show, and if you'd like to offer your thoughts on any of today's topics, you can request to join the stage and participate in the discussion, or comment in the chat in the video stream. You can find all of today's headlines on our website, musicindustrycity.com. Just head to the latest Music News at Noon post to see all the articles we referenced during today's broadcast. You can also register for free to get unlimited access to all the articles, news, and events in the city. And you may also watch us live on the video stream right from the website or on the Music Industry City YouTube channel. All right, is everybody ready? We begin our countdown right now.
Hello and welcome. It's great to have you with us on this Tuesday. I'm Peter Schwing, and here's what's happening. Universal Music Group forms NFT Supergroup. Patreon is building its own video hosting platform. NMEGuitar.com, Uncut MusicTech form new media group, NME Networks. The Pirate Bay story to become a TV drama. And Instagram offers creators up to $35,000 to post videos on its TikTok clone. Plus, our daily Spotify update. Those stories are coming up, but first, let's take a look at this day in music history. And this day in history, this is where we honor those who have passed away, those who were born, and some interesting tidbits that might have occurred in the past on this day. And this day, November 16th, 2000, American rapper Joseph Kaleha died of chronic intestinal disorder. Kaleha had celiac disease, an autoimmune disorder that can cause stunted growth. As a result, he reached a maximum height of 3 feet 9 inches by adulthood. He was a member of Kid Rock's band. In 2018, American songwriter Scott English died at the age of 81 due to complications of hip surgery. He is best known as the co-writer of Brandy, which he wrote with Richard Kerr. The song became #1 hit for Barry Manilow in 1974. Born on this day in 1916, Herb Abramson, producer, songwriter, and co-founder of Atlantic Records. Canadian singer, songwriter Diana Krall was born on this day in 1964. And in 1966, Dave Kushner, American musician, best known as the rhythm guitarist for Velvet Revolver. And some interesting tidbits. November 16, 2010, the Beatles' back catalog was finally made available on iTunes after years and years of negotiations. In 2014, U2 singer Bono was involved in what doctors called a, quote, high-energy bicycle accident. The singer was rushed to New York Presbyterian Well Corner Medical Center's emergency department and underwent 5 hours of surgery. The injury forced the group to postpone a planned weekend residency in The Tonight Show starring Jimmy Fallon. All right, and that does it for this day in history. To set the stage for discussion, we provide informed perspectives and commentary on current headlines. If you'd like to offer your thoughts on one of today's topics, you can request to join the stage. I also like to say hi to everyone viewing the show in our video live stream on YouTube or directly from the musicindustrycity.com website. To stay up to date on this and other programming, you can sign up at musicindustrycity.com for more news, articles, and events. With that being said, let's get to it. All right, we begin with this piece from IQ Mag. And to access all the articles referenced in today's show and throughout the week, visit musicindustrycity.com and view today's Music News at Noon post. All right, Universal Music Group forms an NFT Supergroup. A new NFT Supergroup from Universal is combining two of the year's greatest trends, NFTs and the metaverse. With the help of collector Jimmy McNellis, Kingship will be formed from 4 of his ape NFTs. After buying hundreds of ape NFTs from the Bored Ape Yacht Club's originator, McNellis had full commercial rights to utilize the image for anyone who bought one from him. McNellis was later approached by Universal's 1022 PM record label, a, quote, next-gen Web3 label, which was set up by former Sony exec Celine Joshua. Before signing the Metaverse Group to the label, Joshua presented the concept of forming a new band and chose 4 characters she believed would work together. It goes on, 1022 PM is presently working with a team of crypto artists and animators to create 3-dimensional apes. One of the band's members, the Golden Ape, is currently valued at over $300,000. McNellis had a collection that he estimates is worth more than $100 million. The company will record music for Kingship that it releases on streaming services, and the band will perform and participate in video games, virtual reality applications, and across the constellation of digital experiences known as the Metaverse. They will write these character storylines from scratch. To attract new followers, they will create a marketing campaign that describes the apes' personalities. As she told Bloomberg, quote, "It's just how we introduce new artists to the world." U.S. music producer Timbaland is also cashing in on the trend, starting new company Ape In Productions that will also use Bored Ape Yacht Club characters to form a music group. Timbaland's group, named The Zoo, features 6 Bored Ape characters, such as Lincoln Abraham and Safari Ferrari, and will release their first song, Ape Shit, on Wednesday. All right. I mean, this is... we're going to be seeing new games. This is really interesting. I mean, it's almost like you have, animations, cartoon characters, and they turn them into games. Well, now we're turning NFTs into music groups. Love it. All right. Patreon is building its own video hosting platform. A key piece of the puzzle is fitting into place for Patreon to become self-sufficient. CEO Jack Conte announced the company is developing video hosting and a player. He goes on to say, quote, "We're building the horizontal architecture for any creator, no matter their medium or no matter the upload format, to be able to build a business around their work. Currently, creators who wish to share videos with their fans must submit them to third-party platforms like YouTube or Vimeo. They can also attach a video file, but the size is limited to 200 megabytes. When will Patreon's video product be available? When it happens. Users will have additional options to maintain their material on Patreon and not have to worry about other sites. If authors can broadcast Patreon-only live streams, or if its self-hosted films can generate ad money, and Gadget has asked Patreon for clarification. So it's still up in the air. It's not clear what what's going to happen here, but this is really interesting that instead of now behind that paywall, you can have these videos, and if you'll be able to live stream, it's all going to be self-encased within Patreon, and that's going to be a really good add-on value add to creators. All right, and this one is from the Music Network, NMEGuitar.com, Uncut MusicTech formed new media group, NME Networks. The move, according to the parent company BandLab Technologies, would allow the media brands to work together to create and curate content that entertains, inspires, and informs the world of music. Operational changes have changed roles within the organization. Holly Bishop, who's been with NME Networks since 2013 and has led worldwide commercial operations for 2.5 years, becomes the chief operating officer. And the BandLab Technologies media business will now be run by Elias Ong, and they're going to lead the worldwide content strategy and will now serve as the editorial director. Its media proposition has evolved with the debut of NME Networks, according to Bishop, saying the creation of a unified identity connected to the world's most famous music media brand, NME, enables us to realize the synergies between our brands and to turn our collective audiences onto a deeper world of pop music. Some of the subsidiaries and partnerships in here is the Guitar.com claims a 932% increase in U.S. users and a 618% increase in U.K. users from 2018 to 2021. Also, NME grew its audience by 49% in the U.S. and 44% in the U.K. NME also launched its Australian section in late 2019, stating TMN that Australia was the title's third largest market globally. And just last week, which we reported, BandLab purchased the artist service platform Reverb Nation in an effort to diversify its services for the global indie music sector. And that was the question I think the overall question when we reported that last week was, why were they buying, Reverb Nation when people weren't talking about Reverb Nation anymore, and we kind of conducting a poll. People like I haven't looked at Reverb Nation. People didn't even know what Reverb Nation is, but they had an infrastructure. They have artist accounts, so it was interesting to see how this will still even roll out more. All right, get ready for the next best series on whatever channel it's going to be, the Pirate Bay story to become a TV drama. And if anybody was around for Pirate Bay years and years ago, that was quite the story, and servers getting raided and things getting shut down, and it was fun. The story of Pirate Bay is to be turned into a 6-part TV drama by Swedish broadcaster SVT. The torrent site's founders are not involved in the production, but one of them, Peter Sunde, has said he hopes, quote, they'll do it justice and not make me look too much of a fool. Filming is set to commence this fall, and it goes on to say SVT's drama's mission is to shape Sweden's story together with our most talented writers. The Pirate Bay is an exciting and completely unique story about the shift when the old analog world collided head-on with the new digital. This happened in Sweden, and the whole world watched. The director goes on to say, it's like a dream to be able to stage a story based on real events that involves both a passionate youth movement like the climate movement today, big movie producers in Hollywood, the White House, and secret agents. He also revealed that he's currently developing his own film about Pirate Bay, saying that, to tell the story properly, I feel there needs to be more of a personal touch into making it. The Pirate Bay, and this was the founder of Pirate Bay, goes on to say, the TPB for me is techno, love, drugs. I get that we were great at strategically making the media fall on for our pranks, and that's still fun, but the story was much more. I really hope both projects succeed and reignite debate about who owns and controls our internet and cultural heritage. So it's the premiere date's yet to be announced, but it does have international distribution, so we don't know what platform it's going to be on. Now, a little side note, one of the people behind taking down Pirate Bay happened to be named Jesper Bay. And he was heading up, I'm not sure if he was heading up IFPI Denmark at the time. He was the head of one of the top organizations, and I was friends with him. And when I saw this article, I shot him a message. I was like, hey, who's going to portray you in the show? And he says, even if they write me in. But the funny thing, when it goes back to talking about the founder of Pirate Bay, they talk about the pranks and everything. One of the things was when Jesper Bay got Pirate Bay shut down was that the Pirate Bay founders created a website called Jesper Bay. So they had some fun with that. So they were having some good fun. But I mean, the whole thing, it goes into, to this day, what's going on with, copyright, with streaming, with like downloads and the IP. And, you see this going on, and there's still lawsuits happening for infringement. So Pirate Bay was, there was Napster, LimeWire, Pirate Bay. Those were the big three. All right, moving on, we're going to talk a little on the tech side, and we're going to stay with a little video content. Amazon, this is interesting, will let you easily share clips from its Prime Video content. They announced that its iPhone app will now enable you to share 30-second samples of Prime Video content. The option will initially be limited to a few series, but allowing users to share videos from shows is a refreshing change from other streaming services. The video sharing capability will be available on iOS devices, and according to Amazon. During a concert, the Share Clip button will appear alongside other controls. You tap it to build a 30-second video clip that you may edit to include the show segment that you want to share. From there, you can send it to a friend via iMessage or publish it on social media. When you click Share a Clip button, you're set to overcast like clip sharing the screen. So then the feature, when it's going to be available on Android, the spokesperson informed that it's presently only available on iPhones running 841 later. So any streaming service, goes on the article saying, should have this function. People enjoy sharing clips from the episodes they're watching, which is effectively free advertising for the show. Conversely, when you snap a screenshot while viewing one of Amazon's competitors like Hulu or Netflix, the video material is blacked out, leaving only the subtitles if you have them enabled. So yeah, I mean, this is going to be really interesting. I wonder what kind of licensing that is involved for them to allow for clips to be shared, and what else is added to that. All right, Instagram. All right, let's talk about Instagram here. They're offering creators up to $35,000 to post videos to its TikTok clone. According to TechCrunch and Business Insider, Instagram is paying creators to submit films on TikTok competitor Reels. By 2022, Instagram will have paid $1 billion to creators, according to the Meta CEO Mark Zuckerberg. These statistics reveal how much individual creators are paid for their Reels and how many views are required to receive the maximum bonus. According to TechCrunch, someone has been promised $35,000 if his Reels get 58.31 million views in a month on Reddit. According to Business Insider, Sam and Carol Werrell were offered to develop Reels material for their 283,000 Instagram followers. Smaller creators have apparently been offered substantially less. Some of fans have been offered up to $1,000, but Maddie Corman claims that others have been offered $600, $800 for 52,000 fans. So a designer, according to TechCrunch, a designer with 24,000 Instagram followers was reportedly given $8,500 for 9.28 million views. And a Verge staffer with 15,000 got the same deal. Amounts paid do not appear to be tied to follower counts. Instagram tells TechCrunch that the program is still in its infancy and is testing the format. YouTube and Snapchat also reward producers, announcing a $10,000 monthly payouts for popular videos in August. And last month, Snapchat introduced Spotlight Challenges, which reward users for creating videos. Its prize pool ranged from $1,000 to $25,000. So it goes on saying that these platforms' bonus schemes can be interpreted in two ways. The liberal version is that Instagram, owned by Meta, wants to share the money with its creators. It's no secret that Instagram, YouTube, and Snapchat are wary of TikTok's meteoric rise, and it's no surprise that many of the bonus schemes revolve around short-form video services that resemble TikTok. TikTok, for its part, looks unconcerned by its competitors' lavish spending. It reported late September that it has surpassed 1 billion monthly users. And I mean, TikTok, it is. I try to avoid TikTok as much as possible because once I click, I just get sucked down the rabbit hole, and it's hard pulling me out. So, it's amazing. It's ridiculous. It's fun, and it's also a big waste of time for the most part. But at least it's some entertainment. All right. That being said, we'll have to wrap up with Spotify. So Spotify is to acquire the audiobook platform Findaway. So they're going to acquire the audiobook distributor Findaway to expand its portfolio and create a tool similar to its podcast offerings. Authors, narrators, and publishers can use Findaway's full-service or self-service audiobook platform. Top audiobook publishers like HarperCollins and Hachette have used the full-service platform to connect independent authors with narrators and global distribution. The deal should finalize in the fourth quarter of this year. The deal's value was not disclosed. Gustav Sorensen, Spotify's chief research and development officer, says Spotify's ambition is to be the destination for all things audio. The acquisition of Findaway will help us accelerate our presence in the audiobook space. Findaway, which is founded by Mitch Kroll, will remain headquarters in Ohio. And they go on to say, we can innovate and democratize the audiobook ecosystem with Spotify. We founded Findaway because we believe in the power of audiobooks to empower storytellers and connect them with listeners. With Spotify's global reach, we'll be able to provide an upgraded audio experience for creators, publishers, and listeners alike. Spotify originally tested literary offerings in January with 9 exclusive audiobook recordings, and the Findaway acquisition thus marks Spotify's first major acquisition into the audiobook space as it competes with other giants like Amazon. Audible. All right. Well, I mean, we keep on saying Spotify is not a music streaming platform. I want to keep just saying that. It's not a music streaming platform. There was also another report. I didn't want to get really deep into it, but there's another report that's saying Spotify is finally profitable and going into 2022. It was a lot of economic terms. I just didn't want to deal with it. But, you know, these things that we're looking at, what they're doing with podcasts, now they're adding the video for video podcasts, and now with books. So, you know, creating that one-stop shop where they're saying it's like, you know, the audio center of the universe is really what they're going for. And, you know, they're going to take a little slice of that pie out of Amazon. They're going to take a little slice out of that pie, out of Audible and also Apple. And this is going to be a game changer. And the fact that, you know, at what point did the Green Room, like if they want to say it's like Green Room is a Spotify product, but they didn't incorporate it into Spotify, directly. So I don't. It's like, does that mean they're just trying to avoid like skirt like antitrust? Because at some point, when they start really putting video up there, and they're talking about we're going to make more video, YouTube style video platform within Spotify. I mean, it's you're looking at a whole different horizontal and vertical within Spotify. And if you're looking at it as a music streaming platform, stop doing that. It's an entertainment platform. And with that, that's it for the reads today. If anybody has some thoughts or comments they want to join the stage, please just press the plus sign. I'll put 2 minutes on the clock before we wrap up. And with that being said, Ruben. Hey.
Hey.
Hey, what's the good word?
So I think that's, I think that Spotify conversation with Findaway is super fascinating. I learned the other day that if you had to guess, Peter, how much do you think Audible takes from as part of the pie for audiobook sales? What if you had to guess?
I'm going to say probably like what they take from the pub, like 30%, like kind of like an Apple Store like cut. Is that what you're saying?
You think it's 30%?
I'm going to say it's more like 60%.
Oh boy, it's 70. It's 70%. I assumed it was going to be 30. You've obviously been in the business longer than I have. 70%. Can you imagine? And I just think that's sort of indicative of the market share, right? And the second one in that space is Findaway. So I can see why Spotify would go for the second largest footprint, right? I wonder, do you think, Peter, that with the emergence of what's being sort of labeled Web3 technologies, that we might see an open standard where we can see peer-to-peer distribution, but without stripping the rights like we saw with, the BitTorrents and the Kazaa and so on?
The answer to that is absolutely. And the first part. The second part will come down to there's two things that play there. Is yes, this decentralized, this open source, everything. I mean, with this Web3, and here's something, I'm going to tie this in because it just occurred the other day. Somebody at a marketplace, and they an artist that was selling NFTs shut down the marketplace. Everybody's like, wait, that's not just a rug pull. That's just shutting it down. So what happened is they shut down their website. They shut down their website of their NFT marketplace. Do you know what the community did? Because it's all open source and it's all on the chain, they are rebuilding it, and all that content is there. So this is going to cause this is amazing, but it's also going to cause new headaches. So who owns the intellectual property? Now, if I am a distributor, is this going to help me that I can have my own distribution platform? But you still need to get into Audible. It's like you still need to get into these platforms. You're still going to need the end to consumer. So there's two things here. One is going with that Netflix model. It's like, hey, Netflix started saying, we're not going to pay enough, or we're going to take you're not going to get a big enough cut. So what did all these companies do? They started opening up their own platforms. Marvel goes over to every Marvel movie over at Disney. And that you want Marvel? You got to have Disney Plus. Paramount this. So all these companies started building out their own individual platforms. Now they are large corporations already, so they have their reach, they have the demographic, they know their audience, and they're targeting to them. But that hurts Netflix in the long term. But on the other side is we have multiple streaming platforms, and you're saying, I want to put my music out on Spotify, Apple, and everything. Well, people only say the word Spotify. People really don't talk about Apple unless they're talking about, Atmos and spatial audio. Nobody's talking about these other platforms. So people keep on saying Spotify. So Spotify has become the Xerox of the day. Now, you need to be on Spotify to get that audience. So how do you build that audience? If you go decentralized, you create your own white label distribution platform. Like you can create a white label NFT marketplace. You can create your own white label music distribution platform, like Distro Music, I think it's called, is a white label. So I can actually have my music, all my artists on a distribution platform, and then I can put it out there. But it still needs to get to the end user. So that's the question I'm putting back in there is like, how complex and is that going to limit the reach? Or does Web3 broaden that reach, but then it's so vast, like you can't target?
May I add a little color there, or
Yeah,
at least
absolutely. Absolutely.
from an observer standpoint? Context: old school crypto observer since 2009, participating since about 2013. And big fan of music and a bit of a geek when it comes to legal stuff too. So I think that we've seen some challenges that we were talking about earlier in terms of copyright, derivative rights, and so on. And I think the underlying truth there is that rights that cannot be enforced don't matter, or as the attorneys would say, are immaterial. And of course, in order to have enforceable rights, one must have a common jurisdiction. And cross-jurisdictionally, there's not a lot you can do, right? However, to the extent that law is a form of protocol that we agree upon, and to the extent that we can build technologies that also have protocols that they agree upon, one can imagine a world which is less characterized by corporate or centralized entities with applications that people access, and which the sort of suppliers of those assets sort of put into the other end, whether it's Sony, UMG, Warner, or whether it's individual artists, the publisher, et cetera, et cetera. It's sort of like a two-sided marketplace intermediated by certain sort of proprietary platforms, and instead stepping back a little bit and saying, okay, what about the MIDI approach, right? Where Korg and Moog and Roland got together and said, look, we're starting to see Roland artists and Korg artists. That feels weird. And also, one of us is probably going to die if we don't have that interoperability. Why don't we come up with a common standard? And each one of our private corporations is, less at risk of the other two sort of crowding the others out, right? Which they came up with in 1986 and was profoundly successful. So I wonder if we could build a sort of a rights enforcement structure into audio as an asset class that might allow for some sort of watermarking for individual artists, that allow them to go less sort of going to a website and more just like the HTTP of audio, right? Nobody owns it specific. Do you know what I'm saying?
Right. It's almost taking, if you were to take the foundation of what Creative Commons is all about,
mm-hmm.
and then you put that into the contract. So if you take and you say, I will assign these rights, usage rights, and it's in the contract,
Mm-hmm.
and if there's a way to block it. So Creative Commons was, is fantastic in the sense of it was ahead of its time. Like, take what Creative Commons, stick it on the blockchain, put it on the smart contract. But, it's like, here's your token, here's whatever you want to sign it to, an NFT, whatever, put it on the blockchain, and then whoever on the usage, can you block usage? Like, say if it's a level, level 1, level 2, level 3. Say if somebody wants to use it on TikTok, I've already assigned it, and the technology is just looking back and forth, and then it can pay out, so it goes into the system. So I think like like an area where you take Creative Commons, marry that with the new tech and future technology of the blockchain, I think that's where we win.
So you're talking about not so much permissionless peer-to-peer, but permissioned peer-to-peer.
Correct. So
I agree.
Yeah, it's assigning, saying, "Hey, here's my piece of music. I will let you do these 100 things," instead of coming to me and asking, what can't I do? It's kind of like in sync. When somebody's like, here's my exclusions, you can't use this for alcohol companies, or I don't want my music associated with alcohol or something like that, whatever. But that's kind of like, so you can have it as an exclusionary, you can have it as, and everything's on the contract. Somebody wants to use your piece of music and putting it on the blockchain, it's like, where do you find it? Like, that's the other thing, is these databases. And this goes into where you're looking at, well, if I want my music to be out there, I want my book to be out there, I can click a button and say, here's my permissions. It can be pushed to whatever distribution or taken out the middle company to Spotify. No, that's what's great about with Web3 is that we're going to be able to do all of that, and people will be able to have their own that like pretty much sit at your computer and you say, "Here's all my stuff. I don't need to put it up on 20 different places and monitor all this. Here's everything centralized in my shell." And then I just tell what can be done, and it just goes out on the blockchain, and then it just gets pulled wherever it needs to go. What's the request?
Almost like a media player wallet.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
I like it.
Yeah, let's build it. All right, on. All right, well, thank you, Ruben. Great topics, great conversation, and some great points there. And that's like, for everybody else, it's like, this is really where it's at. I mean, it's not about diving into it and trying to, figure everything out. It's going to take some time, but keep your finger near the pulse of what is happening. Not just NFTs. Forget like the term of this NFT. Hear these things about contracts and what is being done. And that is where it's about. It's about the foundation. It's not about this specific, like this NFT. We don't know if if it's a bubble, if it's a fad, if it's a trend. Those are different things. But what we're looking at is this blockchain here is something that with these smart contracts, this really has the opportunity of clarifying a lot. Again, copyright, intellectual property is still going to be an issue. We'll keep the lawyers in business and rich. And even if we reform copyright today, we will still be 20 years behind. And with that, I think we're going to wrap up for today. So thank you, everybody. Thank you, Ruben, for jumping up. And that does it for today. The music industry news at noon on Tuesday from New York. We will see you tomorrow. Thanks for watching. I'm Peter Schwing, and have a rocking day.